Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Taylor Lauren here. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe and check out all of my other videos. This video is going to be another wedding planning video for you guys. I'm going to give you some tips on how to budget for your wedding and stick to the budget and just making sure that you're choosing the most cost-effective options for you. My husband and I have almost been married for a year now. Our 1-year anniversary is actually coming up in 3 months and we have a 2-month-old daughter. So time truly does fly. We got married in April of 2021 and our wedding was right under $30,000, like around 26, 27,000. And my parents did split most of the costs for us. They paid for a majority of the things in our wedding, but I was the one keeping track of how much everything costs, giving them the prices of everything and shopping around and finding our vendors. And we planned our wedding in about 10 or 11 months, so right around a year. So I really got into the nitty gritty of wedding planning and budgeting for the wedding and shopping around for vendors and negotiating costs and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to give a couple tips to you guys about what I learned and hopefully it will help you. So let's go ahead and get into the video. So I have my list here. Y'all know I love a good list. So the first tip that I have for you is to research the yearly average. So if you just Google wedding cost of 2020, wedding cost of 2021, wedding cost of 2022, and like compare the numbers of how much weddings cost like 2 years before the year that you're going to get married, because it'll give you an idea of like inflation and it'll just better prepare you for how much is like a reasonable cost for weddings based off of inflation. This could also be something good to do like with your parents or your grandparents or like people who are helping you pay for weddings, because one thing that me and my mom had to talk about was things do not cost the same today as they did in 94 when you got married. So when parents or grandparents or whoever is helping you pay for the wedding, if you have family members that are helping you pay and they've gotten married like 20, 30 years ago, for example, your parents, inflation may not occur to them, and they may just give you like $1,000 thinking that that is enough to pay for food for a wedding of like 200 people, and it's not. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how prices change and how much money you should be prepared to, cough up for the year that you get married. Once you do the research on the yearly average, then you can pick a number based off of the type of wedding that you want to have. My husband and I had a pretty big wedding. We both have really big families, and I'm the only girl and the firstborn of my parents' children. So my parents were like, no, you're our daughter, you're our only daughter, you're gonna have a wedding. So our wedding was fairly big. We had about 200 people at our wedding. So, and I told you guys that our wedding was right under $30,000. So that kind of gives you, an estimate if you're wanting to go like bigger. If you're wanting to have like a smaller, micro wedding, or if you just want to go to the courthouse and have like a backyard barbecue afterwards, like research the numbers for like the type of wedding celebration that you want to have, and then once you find that, you can pick the number of how much you're comfortable spending for like the entire wedding budget. Once you pick that number, stick to that number. It's good to have a number in the back of your head, so as you're getting costs and prices, you can say, okay, this number would send me over or this number would keep me under. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make with planning a wedding or just planning a big cost in general. They don't have a number in mind. They just kind of get quotes and base their number off of that. But you need to have your number before you start shopping around for vendors. And in my case, I was pretty confident that $30,000 was going to be a good place for us. So once you do that, tip number 3 is to shop around for vendors and not just pick the first one. This can be pretty overwhelming. There are tons of wedding photographers, tons of wedding venues, tons of wedding caterers, tons of bridal shops. But you want to make sure that you're shopping around, and that you're not just coughing money up to the first vendor that you see. and that you are comparing the cost with the services and everything that comes with that cost. So what I did is I would shop around for like 5 vendors for each category. So 5 wedding photographers, 5 bridal shops, etc., etc. And then I would narrow it down to 3, and then I would narrow it down to 2, my first option, and then my backup plan. And along the way, comparing the services, comparing the prices, comparing the vibes, because obviously you want to make sure that your wedding vendors, are a good fit for, you and your significant other, and just kind of the vision that you have. But as far as costs go, make sure that you shop around. Don't always go with the first person that you interact with, simply because, you know, wedding shopping and finding vendors can be overwhelming. You want to make sure that you're getting a good deal and that people are not, um, you know, overpricing you. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is compare DIYs to the actual service. So would it be cheaper for me to go to Kroger and buy the flowers for my wedding, or would it be, the same cost to pay a florist? And you have to consider labor. Like, do I want to put the floral arrangements together, or is it worth it for me to pay someone to do it? Would it be better for me to wear a white dress that I already have in my closet, or do I really want to pay for a wedding gown? So different things like that, like compare the cost of like hiring someone to do it versus like you doing it yourself or using something that you already have. For me, it was more cost efficient for me to buy the vases for our floral arrangements and send them off to the florist than to have her get the vases and do the floral labor. So she just did the labor and we provided the vases and kind of like the materials and stuff. So that's an example of that. And the final tip that I have for you when it comes to budgeting is categorize for every area. Don't just have a general wedding budget, but have that big number in mind and then break that number down into the different categories. So if you have a $30,000 wedding budget, how much of that budget is going to go to food? How much of that budget is going to go to flowers? How much of that budget is going to go to wardrobe, DJ, the venue? There are all of these things. So once you have that big number, break it down into the various categories so that you know how much each area of a wedding how much money is going to be allocated to each area. And one thing that you'll see, you can also Google like wedding budgets, wedding breakdowns, like what is the average cost for florals at a wedding? What does the average bride, how much money does the bride spend on a dress on average? So that way you'll be able to, evenly distribute the money to varying categories. Pinterest had some great like pie charts of how much money each wedding category should get, like what's the average, and that really helped me. So yeah, you guys, I hope these tips were helpful when it comes to planning your wedding. Congratulations to you and yours. I hope it is the best day of your life. And I think, in my personal experience, as long as you are optimistic and you give yourself enough time to plan and you're organized, then your wedding day will be perfect. And as long as you're sticking to your vision of what you want your day to be like. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.